22 years ago, I walked into the offices of the Nova Scotia Barrister Society as a first-year law student and began working there in the summer. I worked for 2 summers, and ever since then, in one way or another, I've worked with or become part of the work of the Nova Scotia Barrister Society. I remember when I walked in and Darryl was relatively new and Victoria Reese was relatively new, and I thought to myself, what in the world have I gotten myself into? 22 years later, I stand before you and say to myself, what in the world have I gotten myself into? However, what I can tell you is that your regulator, your society, has worked extremely hard over those 22 years and will continue to work extremely hard to serve the public interest in the practice of law and to make sure that all of us are well served by our regulator. Dan has talked about a number of things that occurred over the last year and has alluded to and mentioned many of the things that we're going to do this year and beyond. It's a full agenda, and it's been a pleasure to work with the council that we have. One of the good changes that we made over the last couple of years is that we now extend the term of council to 2 years so that we have a good amount of continuity. Our committees are about 2 years in length, and we have a smaller, more nimble council to deal with issues as they arise. So I think that has been a great improvement. I do want to acknowledge that we have a new member of our executive this year, and we have our existing executive. I'll act as president. René Gallant, who's here in the front row, will be the first vice president as of today. And Tilly Pillay from the Department of Justice, who many of you know, will come in as our second vice president effective today. So I'd like to welcome Tilly to the executive and to Bar Council. I also want to let you know that for those of you who haven't seen the committee lists that have come out in just the last couple of days, that one of the perks of being president is that you get to choose somebody to be the honorary president of the society. And without any hesitation, when I found out that I could do so, I thought of the one person that I would want to ask, David Wallace of McIntosh, MacDonald and MacDonald in Glasgow. And David has kindly agreed to serve, though he couldn't be bothered to show up today. I'll have a little chat with him about that, right, Bruce? For those of you who know David, you can well understand why he would be my choice, and I began with that firm 20 years ago as an article clerk. I continue a close association with them, though I don't practice with them, and I look to all of them, particularly the senior partners, for guidance throughout my career. I do want to acknowledge as well there are a number of presidents, past presidents, that I just want to mention. Not all of them are those dating well back, but there are some that in recent times have had a great impact on how I intend to conduct myself as president this year. And some of them are here today. I don't intend to have them stand or be embarrassed, though I'm sure some of them will leap to their feet just out of ego. But I do want to acknowledge some of them that have had a particularly impactful experience with me. Among them are Marjorie Hickey, Ron Creighton, Joel Pink, Phil Starr, Gail Rotherham-Chernin, Ray Larkin, Ron MacDonald, Catherine Walker, Robbie McKeegan, who's here and gave you a report earlier, and dating way back, but a good friend of mine, Bruce McIntosh, who's here today as well. When I go through that list, you can see why the society has been well served over the years. Those are some pretty stellar names, some pretty impactful people who provided excellent leadership. In the coming year, Dan has talked about some of the things that we're going to be dealing with on council, but I want to refer to council as your council. This is an organization that is chosen by, if you will, and is led by members of the profession. I'm one of them, but only one. And so your council has a lot on its plate this year, a lot of significant challenges, but it's going to rise to those. It has in the past, and it always will. But I want to talk about briefly 3 things that I want to focus myself on this year on your behalf and through your council.